All right, so it's the next day and I've managed to just get these all connected together. So they need to be connected downstairs. Now it is worth noting as well that on the cables here, or rather where they connect to the panel, basically the plastic male end that's connecting, that comes from the panel itself, this one here on the right hand side, that's the positive, and then the one on the left hand side is negative. So basically from the very end down here, as it's coming in, it's negative all the way to positive. So we need to note that when we're making the connection down at the inverter itself. So the red cable is basically leading off positive and the black cable is leading in negative. I've just been up on the roof, as you saw, and I've checked all the connections. They're all good. One of them was actually loose. In fact, it was the first cable going into the first panel. So the black or the negative cable going into the first panel. So I reconnected that. It must have come loose when I was cable tying everything up temporarily. But what I've done is I've just come down here, and I'd already wired this up yesterday with my battery on the phone went dead, so I didn't record that getting done. So we'll zoom in here. As you can see, we have 1, 3, 5 and 7 on the top, and then we have 2, 4, 6 and 8 on the bottom. So the way I'm working it is the 5 and the 7 on the top, that's the positive, and the negative for the panels that I'm using at the moment. Reason being is, as I'm looking at this panel, the panels that are basically going to be on the right hand side, they're the ones that I'm working off. The panels that are going to be on the shed will be on the left hand side. So I just wanted to put them on 1 and 3 on the left hand side for, you know, future troubleshooting reasons. All right, so now that that's all connected and this is switched off, technically the top should be live. So I'm just have my cheap multimeter here, my old reliable. I'm just going to test that now, see if we have any voltage. Oh, and you probably noticed, yes, I have just plugged these in, but there's no power going down to them because it's isolated. All right, so let's, fingers crossed. All right, so negative and positive. All right, so that's showing as negative 126 volts there anyway. Let me switch that polarity around. And 128. Okay, brilliant. We have voltage. So I'm going to put the cover back on here and switch on the DC. Then I'll switch on the AC, and fingers crossed, everything will be good. Okay, so it didn't turn on, and I just did a little bit of troubleshooting, and again I just made sure that I was live on the top here, and I managed to find out that I was actually live on the wrong circuit here, or rather I was live on the right circuit, but these are the wrong cables. I've connected the other string in, which aren't connected to any panels. They're still actually on the reel. So what I've done, I'm just checking these here. Negative and positive, and I'm getting voltage. So all I have to do is disconnect or rather re-isolate the DC, remove these MC4s from the inverter, which is an absolute pain in the ass, and then connect them in the right way. Now, yes, okay, I could just connect them in the other side, but my OCD is kicking off. I want to see if I can get these back out and plug them in the correct side, because these ones I want on the right side to match the right side cables here, to match the right side where the panels are. All right, so I'm going to do that. You don't need to see me disconnecting these. The way you're supposed to disconnect them is there's a couple of little clips up the top here. I'll show you. So you have a couple of little clips here that you're supposed to push in, tabs on either side, and then pull it down. But they're very difficult to get out. So I'm going to do that off camera and swap them around and then turn back on the DC. Okay, I've got them disconnected and I'm just now connecting the correct ones. So I have the negative in, everything's isolated up here of course, and I'm just slotting in the positive now. Get this out of the way. Okay, there we go. Right, at least I hope they're the right cables. Right, so I probably should have just, you know, checking the voltage again before disconnecting or before plugging them in, but whatever. Look, let's just give this a go. So let me get the DC on here and the AC on here. Everything is on. Should be working. Come on, wake up, damn it. I mean, do these guys take a couple of minutes to turn on or what? Like, I'm kind of expecting to see a light pretty much immediately. No, I've checked. I'm definitely getting AC power. I've already checked that, or at least it's available at the end of the plug here. So no issue with the AC isolator, no issue up as far as the plug. Right. I suppose this is the thing with troubleshooting. You know, if something doesn't turn on after you've finished putting it together, it's not just going to be one thing. It's not just going to be, oh, is the on switch you know, in the right position. In the first instance, one of the connectors on the roof was disconnected, so I connected that. Then I was finding that I was getting my voltage at least up top here on pins 5 and 7, as you can see here. So as I'm touching red and black, so 5 and 7, I'm getting negative 128. Then 5 is to 7. I had the wrong ones plugged in. I actually had 2 and 4 plugged in, where I'm supposed to have 6 and 8 connected to the inverter. If I have a look here and I'm going 8 for the positive and 6 for the negative, I'm getting positive voltage here, so it's showing up 130. Obviously we're getting a bit more voltage off the panels at the moment. Yes, the cover is off this, so you know, it's not really ideal. I'm just making sure I'm not touching any wires, and you know, my fingers as far away from the DC connector as possible. So what I'm going to have to do here is I'm going to have to swap these guys around. I should have 7 goes to 8, but I have black is going to red, and 5 is going to 6, but again it's red going to black. So I need to swap those around, and that will be the same. That will be true of the other circuit as well. So basically I need to, it's currently red black, it should be black red, and that's really as simple as I can explain it. So I'm going to swap those around now. I'm going to isolate it once more so I can actually work on it, and then I'll re-energize it and make the connections again, and I'm sure it'll work after this. Okay, as you can see, it's on. I did actually catch a recording of it switching on, but I accidentally deleted the video when I was doing something else. Yeah, like I said, with troubleshooting, it's not just a case of there's always going to be one problem. Sometimes there's several problems to resolve before you actually get something working as you need it to. Now looking here, I'm generating, I've changed the time on it, by the way. It came up, the time was out by about 1 hour and 10 minutes or so, so I've just fixed the time. The correct date was on it though, and it's generating 1440 watts. Actually, yeah, 1440 watts at the moment, which is pretty good actually, because what are the panels? Yeah, that's pretty much maxed out. I mean, there's 4 panels up there, they're 450 each. So that's, you know, not maxed out, but 1800 watts is the absolute max that I can get out of them, and I'm getting 1450 watts, so that's obviously a pretty good angle to have them at. Now looking here, so that's generating again, let's just say 1.5, and this is generating 3.3, and as you can see, I'm getting 4.2 into the battery. So basically, the excess that the string inverter is producing is getting sucked into the battery. There's pretty much no demand in the house at the moment. I did make sure that there were no faults here. I went in, I turned on the kettle, and I could see that there was 2 kilowatts getting drawn from there. So all the excess from the string inverter is either going to go into the battery, so it's been picked up by the hybrid inverter, and basically anything more than the battery can take, I suppose, will be exported to the grid, or if the battery's full, again, same thing, it'll get exported to the grid. So I'd call that a success. Obviously, I have another set of panels to upload. Here we are, final piece of the puzzle. Fingers crossed this all works. Already one string connected, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to check my voltages here and make sure that everything's good. Right, so DC, right, here we are, red, and black. There we are, we're reading 126. Excellent. All right, so we have our voltage. What we should be able to do now is just hook up the cables and see this going from generating whatever it happens to be at the time. Right now it's 1400 watts. Just as an aside, this Datalogger I picked up for €3 on a local kind of deals website, and the same website I picked this inverter up for €100. So all in all, pretty good value. This Datalogger is working, but it is currently linked to the previous owner. I purchased the Datalogger from his sister, and the guy no longer lives in the country. So I've contacted Solis. So if you run into this situation where you're using used equipment, just contact Solis, let them know that you've purchased used equipment. If it's Europe, it's EU service at solis.com or something like that. And then you have US service at solis.com and UK service at solis.com, and IN for India, I believe it is. So just contact them, send them an email. They're going to look for the Datalogger serial number, and they're also going to look for your email address if you already have an account registered. In particular, if you don't register an account, they will want to know the serial number of the inverter that you're connecting the Datalogger to. So just to let you know that. Okay, now I'm going to connect the black cable in first. All right, now at the moment we're at 1410 watts. Let's just make this a quick connection, and we've just gone up to just over 2000 watts. All right, so job done. So that's a full DIY installation of a Solis inverter and 8 panels. That's it. Absolutely delighted that I've undertaken this project. I've added an additional 3.5 kilowatts to my system, so it's gone up to nearly 9 kilowatt peak. And I'll bring you over here. So we're getting the just shy of 2 kilowatts here. And over here, as you can see, the house is really using nothing at the moment. There's people have just literally arrived home in the last like minute, so nothing has been turned on, so nothing is being used in the house, and I'm exporting nearly the full 5 kilowatts. All right, there's a better view there. So my existing panels are producing 3.3, and the new panels are producing 2.2, let's say. So that's a total of just under 5 being exported. Of course, the inverters are using a certain amount of power as well for themselves. So I'm exporting nearly 5 kilowatts at the moment. So really happy with that. My job now is to just tidy up some of the cables, make sure everything is secured, cable tie up anything that's left hanging from under the panels. I've some of the conduit isn't secured to the wall, so I'm just going to finish those tidying up jobs. Should take me about an hour to do that. So that's everything. Really, as I say, I'm really happy I've taken on this project. I've added a nice bit of power, a nice bit of extra generation to my setup. The system has now been running for about 2 weeks, a little bit longer than that, and it has been working much better than I expected it to. I did have a concern that if the combined systems were generating more than 5 kilowatts and there was no load on the house, like I didn't want to see 6 kilowatts being exported, for example. I'm limited to the 5 kilowatts, so I really needed it to stay there. So actually what has been happening, if I can give you an example, let's assume there's no load on the house. The hybrid system, this is the 5 kilowatt hybrid. Let's just say this is generating 4 kilowatts and this system is generating, let's just say 3 kilowatts. What will actually happen is the generation from the string is being seen by the hybrid, and it'll export the maximum of 5 kilowatts without any software limitations or anything like that. The maximum that's actually being exported is the 5 kilowatts. The other 2 will either be clipped or will automatically go into the batteries. So basically what's been happening is if there's a little bit of space in the batteries, anything over the 5 kilowatts will actually go into the batteries or will be used by the household. I can see that on my charts. What's being generated here shows us the normal yellow curve, and then what's happening is the generation over and above that is showing as a blue kind of curve above that, so I can see the extra that's being generated. So really pleased with that overall. At the moment, it's 20th of April. This system is generating 2.4 watts or kilowatts, and this system here is generating the 3.4. So already I'm basically, that would be the absolute max that I would see with this system alone. With this system here, it's paying me, so I'm pretty much exporting everything that's being generated, topping up the batteries a little bit. When the sun goes down, which is pretty late in the evening at the moment, the batteries kick in, use maybe 10, 15, up to 20%, and then I dump a little bit to the grid between midnight and 2 a.m. and then it starts to charge back up again. So I'm going to have to start dumping a little bit. In fact, I'm going to have to start looking into home assistance so I can start to automate some of this stuff rather than checking it every night, deciding whether I'm going to dump a little bit extra or not. So automation, home assistant, that's probably going to be next. This Datalogger did take a while to sort out. I had to log a ticket with Solis Europe, and in the end they managed to unpair it with the previous account, both the inverter and the Datalogger. So that's now on my account and I can see what's happening. So again, really happy with that. Right, I suppose it's time to just show you the system. I do have a little bit of tidying up to do. What I'm going to do is kind of around the edges of the panels, particularly the ones up on the extension roof. I'm going to put some cedar behind those panels and maybe actually have it as a little storage area and a little sleeping area for the cats, something like that. So it's not completely finished, but it is functionally finished. It's about time now to give you the final walkthrough. I'll show you the system from start to finish, and you can let me know what you think. Do keep in mind, it's not completely finished, but functionally we're all there up and running. From the very start, we're running from the consumer unit here. This is a 32 amp RCBO, which is connecting to the 3.6 string inverter. So this is what's providing the AC power through this RCBO. And focusing again just on the new system, we have the AC power coming through here into the AC isolator, which runs behind the backer board, out through here and into the AC port. From up here, and we'll follow this line in just a moment, but the DC cable, it's running down here behind the backer board, and it's coming obviously through the DC isolator and then again behind the backer board. And we have the first line here on the left. This one here is for the shed, and this one here on the right, that's for the extension on the roof. So 4 panels to the left and 4 panels for the right. Our data logger here, of course, sending out all that delicious data. And from there, if we chase back the DC lines, it's running into that conduit there, and it's running all the way through here and out here. Okay, so need to seal this up a little bit, but it's protected from the weather at the moment, but I'm going to seal it up properly. And that line is running all the way along here and down onto the shed, up and under the panels. We'll get to that in just a moment. The second line is running up over the parapet wall, and here's where this line is running from, down there up into this conduit. As you can see, I kind of fixed this as well, separate to the PV system, but it needed to be tidied up. I had some cables kind of hanging out here, so we're running along here, and that's it. That's the back of the panels. Here they are here in all of their glory. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then the panels on the shed. All good. So I plan on just kind of running a strip of cedar across here, so I don't see any of these rails, mounting brackets. And I'm going to do the same here. So this is rock solid, that's not moving as it is. Once the panels went on, everything just really stiffened up. I'm going to be running some cedar across here, leave a little opening for the cats to kind of get in behind it, give themselves a little bit of shelter here up on the roof. They'll have some peace. And there you have it, final results. Oh, that's Jill there, by the way, chilling on the wall. So what do you think? Would you be happy with this sort of results? I know I certainly am. Getting good generation, topping up the house, topping up the batteries. I suppose all that's left is a quick aerial view, and then we'll finish up. I hope you've enjoyed the content half as much as I've enjoyed creating it and carrying out this project. It's been a real learning curve for me. So if you've gotten something from it, if it's maybe inspired you to do something similar, if it's helped you out in some way, leave a like, subscribe, hit the notification bell for more videos, and I'll see you in the next one.